Are you being dominated by your dachshund? You know you are. Does your calico have you crazy? You know they do. Is your golden behaving a bit grumpy? Maybe so, maybe not. But anyway, if you love your dogs and adore your cats and really want to get inside their heads, of course they're part of the family. You want to understand them as well as they understand you. If you're confused about why your dogs or cats behave a certain way, you know what to do, right? Stay tuned, because once again, right here, right now, it is time for the Pet Show. That's right, America's first and only real pet psychology, pet training, pet behavior, pet lifestyle show. So hop up on my couch. Bring those furry little buddies with you, folks. It is that time once again to let the animal analyzing begin. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is the Pet Show, the place where we absolutely, positively, never a doubt about it, love, adore, and as I stress every single week, respect your pets as much as you do. By the way, if you have a question, or maybe you just don't understand something your cat or dog is doing, great time to give me a call. Maybe it's jumping, maybe it's digging, maybe it's scratching, maybe it's humping, maybe it's not coming back when you call them, maybe it's chasing your next door neighbor down the block, whatever it is. Maybe they're barking 24/7. If you have a question about your dog or cat's behavior and want me to help you resolve it, you've come to the right place. Give me a call. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA. 866-870-5752. Yeah, if you're thinking if we're live on this Labor Day, you bet we're live on this Labor Day. Plenty of time for your calls. I got some great stuff to give away. The air horns are back, so I have some air horns to give away, T-shirts to give away. Not this one. This is the T-shirt I'm wearing right now. I don't know if I can show it, Alex, but the T-shirt I'm wearing right now says, "If they go, I go." I'll talk about it a little more, but 20 years. It's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina, and I served as for the Department of Homeland Security. I'll talk about that a little bit later and some of the things we've learned from that. But anyway, this is how I must become a hoarder. This shirt, I've had this shirt now for over 20 years. I posted a picture of the back. It says, Rescue Animals, Hurricane Katrina, and the front says, "If they go, I go." So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I got some really, really interesting topics coming up on today's show. Again, by the way, if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you want to ask me a question on YouTube, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. If you want to ask me a question on the radio, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Broadcasting from beautiful Arizona today, where it's a balmy, I think, 108, 109 degrees. So it's cooled down just a little bit for this Labor Day weekend. Let me tell you what's coming up on today's show. Real interesting topics. You know, so many of my listeners, and I've been doing this show for 47, 48 years now. God, I don't even remember how many years, but it's been a long time. And so many of the calls I've received over the last years were from those amazing listeners that I have that may have recently adopted or rescued an adult dog, and they're really not sure how to help that rescue dog adjust to their new home. There's a lot of advice out there, some good, some not so good. The first few days can be so tough, so I decided to share my personal tips for the first few days with your new rescue. It can make all the difference in the world. Let me tell you, when you meet a dog, when you bring a dog into the home, the initial response on your part can set the tone for 15 or 20 years up the road. So I'm going to share that with you, something I put together. I got it all written down, so we'll take a look at that a little bit later. I wanted to talk about this last week, but of course, yours truly ran out of time. Does your cat have a big mouth? I mean a really, really big mouth. I sound like Jackie Gleason on The Honeymooners. Some cats are talkers, some not. And some cats really have a lot to say. Personally, I love talkative cats because it gives you tremendous insight into your cat's feeling physically and emotionally. Or is your talkative cat just trying to con you into more food and attention? We'll talk about that when we come back as well. Not when we come back. We're not going anywhere, Warren. Also, you know, everyone likes to get a little rush once in a while. Laughter can give you a rush. Some people have a glass of wine. Some people might smoke a little cannabis. Whatever gives you a rush, gives you a rush. But what about your dog? You know, what is your dog's endorphin rush? Did you know that your dog gets a buzz by licking you or even themselves. That's right, your dog gets a buzz. Coming up, the licking buzz. I'll explain it once and for all. Yeah, that's right. Your dog licks you and you think he just loves you. He's getting a little buzz out of it as well. And you ever see those people constantly telling their dogs, no, 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 always correcting them? What does it do to your dog's self-image and confidence? No one talks about that, but I do. We'll talk about that a little bit later. As always, plenty of time to answer all of your pet and animal questions. I got some great stuff to give away. As I said, the air horns are back. The T-shirts, I am having so much trouble keeping them in stock. People are buying them. The ones that say, none of my friends walk upright. Julie, my assistant, saying they're buying them like crazy, and the colors we have are amazing. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on this show as well. But as always, plenty of time to answer all of your pet and animal questions. Great stuff to give away. So if your pet is jumping or chewing or scratching or licking excessively, not using a litter box, that rescue dog may not be housebroken as of yet. Your dog doesn't get along with other dogs, not so thrilled with your next door neighbor either. Or your dog literally looks at you and says, you know what, I see it, I hump it. Give me a call, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. The question of the day. Now, I often get arguments when I talk about this, but I know you guys are going to agree with me, right? Do pets have a sense of humor? I believe they do. I talked about years ago when I trained David Letterman's dog and Lily Tomlin's dog and Rodney Dangerfield's dog. All great comedians. But I got to be honest with you. As good as Letterman and as good as Tomlin and as funny as Rodney Dangerfield was, no comparison to how funny their dogs were. So my question to you, do pets have a sense of humor? What does your cat do to make you laugh? What does your dog or cat do to make you laugh? Give me a call. Maybe I'll send you a nice gift. 866-870-KRLA. That is the way to get through to the show. Now, as always, I allowed a lot of time. It's Labor Day. People are real busy, so I'm going to get to some calls. I'll take some of your questions on YouTube as well. But I got an interesting letter, actually an email, from one of my listeners. Mad at me. Warren, your comment a few weeks ago on air about coyotes. I disagree with you. They do not belong in the cities such as Beverly Hills, Brentwood, West LA, Culver City, Midtown LA, or even Inglewood. They belong out where you live. They belong out where you live in the deserts or the mountains. They're overpopulating Los Angeles County. They need to be relocated or euthanized. They killed my cat of 15 years. Stay tuned for my response. A little Nimba there, not in my backyard. So, she said they belong in the mountains and they belong in the deserts. What do you think Beverly Hills is surrounded by? Hills, the word hills, mountains, hills. That's where they live. That's what they love, even better than mountains. We'll talk about that. I'll give you my response a little bit later. And it's a little in-depth. A lot of people don't understand coyotes. And let's spay, let's neuter coyotes. Let me give you a little secret here. Coyotes are incredibly amazing animals. If you spay and neuter them, some of them obviously will change their behavior, but the litters that the rest have will actually be larger. So it doesn't always work that way. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, because I happen to be. Just yesterday, Denise and I were sitting out in the yard, and a couple of coyotes walked down past us. I happen to be a coyote fan. Of course, I'm very careful with my dogs, and my heart breaks for her 15-year-old cat, but I'd love her to call in. I'd like to find out how her 15-year-old cat was killed by a coyote and why a 15-year-old cat may have been in a position to be exposed to coyotes in the first place. So we'll talk about that. That's not fair. In other words, just you don't want them in your neighborhood, so send them to my neighborhood or send them to this neyborhood. Let me tell you, coyotes are going to be around where they want. We'll talk about that. 866-8. I got my what's the word? My hackles up this week. I don't mind criticism. I love criticism because I make a lot of mistakes. But I got to tell you, when someone says, I don't want them in my neighborhood, they should be in your neighborhood. I don't like that. 866-870-5752, 866-870-5752. I'll get to your call in a second, Eileen. Also coming up, the last month or so, I've been telling stories of Warren over the years, and some people are really enjoying some of my stories, my mob stories, my close-to-death stories. I am going to tell you about the scariest time of my life. I mean, I was totally freaked out, totally spooked, almost didn't but almost refused to train a dog that needed my help. Why? I'll give you a word and I'll tell you the story later. Amityville. Amityville. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Amityville. 866-870-5752. 866-870-KRLA. This is the way to get through. Let me take a quick call from Eileen calling from Culver City. Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Hi, Warren. I want to thank you first. I was called about 2 weeks ago regarding my rescue that peed all over the place, and now he seems to be trained. But my other big problem is he doesn't seem to do anything being outside without picking up everything that's outside to eat, including the roots of grass, and he even picks up rocks and dirt and chews on them. But what's really scary is he's found some metal pieces in my yard. I don't know how they get in there, and I found them in his mouth. My hands are in his mouth more often than not, picking out stuff that I'm.
So Eileen, let me just kind of
He's 6 months
let me
old.
stop you first of all. Let me stop you for a second. What type of dog is it?
He's a mutt.
Can you turn your radio off in the back? Can you turn the radio off in the background?
Yes, okay.
That'd be great. Make it a lot easier for me. It'll put a smile on Alex's face as well. There you go. So, what type of dog did you say it was?
They say he's a Shih Tzu and a Pug, but he doesn't look anything like either one of them. I'm sure he's got some kind of terrier in him because he's.
That takes my theory out that he might have been. Takes my theory out that he might have been a retriever mix and loves to. There's a couple of things. First of all, how old was the dog when you adopted him?
He just turned 6 months.
Okay, where was he before you adopted him?
Before I adopted him, they said they found him in a box on the street in Los Angeles with the rest of his siblings.
So at 6 months old, these dogs were found at 6 months old. They found younger.
Yeah, they found him very young with the rest of his siblings. I got him when he was 3 months old.
So a couple of things. Dogs' mouths are kind of like our hands and our mouths, except they react a little bit differently. When a dog is upset or a dog is nervous or a dog is anxious, the first thing they want to do is use their mouths. Their mouth is a calming thing. That's why they chew on things. It's like the after-dinner cigar or the after-dinner martini for them. Chewing is constant. If these puppies never had the opportunity to go through any type of normal teething period, I'm sure that their teething was never adjusted properly, and the pain was never relieved, so they start associating having things in their mouth with the alleviation of pain and the calming effect. That's what's going on. So what you really need to do is you really need to focus on your back. Do you have a couple of minutes? Can I put you on hold and come back to you?
Sure.
I don't want you to go anywhere, so I want to spend some more time with you. So I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we'll give you some advice in terms of preventing the dog from picking up all those things in your backyard. But I want you to understand, this is not a problem dog. It's a dog with a little bit issues, and the issues are not based on any fault of his own. It's, of course, as I say, 95% of issues that our pets have are created by the people. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. The question of the day, what does your dog or your cat do to make you laugh and to make you smile? Do you believe your pets have a sense of humor? Give me a call, 866-870-5752. That's 866-870-5752. Quick break, then right back to your calls. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. Oh, by the way, did I mention it's Labor Day weekend, so my engineer, Alex, has chosen some incredible music for us today. We were talking to Eileen. I'm going to get right back to you, Eileen. She has a dog that she adopted. Bless you for doing that. The dog is eating everything in the backyard, and she's afraid that the dog's going to eat something that's going to be really harmful. How to resolve that issue. So let me go back to Eileen. Hey, Eileen, are you still with me?
Pardon? I'm
Eileen?
sorry.
Okay.
Hello?
So here's the scenario. Your dog is using his mouth to calm himself down, to make himself feel good. So what are we going to do? We can't stop the dog from using his mouth, but we can kind of guide him in certain directions. So, for example, what I would do in your backyard is I would find a little kiddie pool or something to that effect, fill it with some dirt, fill it with some sand, and put the most incredible things in there. Some of his treats, some of his toys. So when he goes outside, his focus is going to be over in that area to satisfy the need to have something in his mouth. I'd also go in your backyard. Maybe you want to use a Geiger counter. I would go back there and really, this is what I would do. I would crawl around just to make sure that there's nothing back there that's really going to be dangerous. And in your case, what I might want to do is put down, and kiddie pools are like $5 or $10. Another little kiddie pool maybe 10 feet away. So he starts to realize to calm himself down, to find the best things, the things he enjoys most, that's where he needs to go. And if you're consistent with that, he'll be going to those areas versus looking the rest of the yard for things that are not as good. It's not a bigger score for him if he picks up a piece of metal, if he gets a special treat from the special area. So that's the way I would resolve it, because what's going to happen when you correct the dog, they start responding to that negative attention. So if every time he's in the backyard, he's grabbing something he shouldn't grab, and you're going, no, 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 knock it off, what's going to happen? He's getting attention for that. This was a puppy that didn't get the attention he needed when he was really, really tiny. So my suggestion is distracting him, getting into different areas. I think that'll make all the difference in the world for you. When you go out there, make your backyard interesting. I know he's a little dog, but hide some other things around that are real important as well. When he realizes there are good things in the backyard, you know, a biscuit tastes a lot better than something else or a piece of wood that's laying there. That ought to at least get it under control. Not going to resolve it entirely in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but after a week or so of continuity, you'll start finding that he'll be focusing in those areas versus scrounging the rest of your yard for stuff that could potentially be dangerous for him. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you, Warren. I sure will do that.
I want you to do that. What's your dog's name again?
Scamp.
Scamp. What a great name. Anyway, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Give me a call back in a couple of weeks. We'll solve another problem for you. We can do that. 866-870-KRLA. The phone number, 866-870-5752. Let's go to my buddy Paul in Riverside. Hey, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing super. How about yourself?
Doing great. First of all, let me thank you. Whenever I work on Saturdays, I listen to you. I have learned so much. I just enjoy your voice, and thank you so much. I have an English lab who's 5 years old, and he's just a beautiful, I would say, an individual, and a lot of personality. But your question, what do we like? What do the pets make us do? They put a smile on our face. When he looks at me, his eyes have so much expression, and it's like a happy moment for me when he looks at me and smiles and acknowledges and shows his love. But again, I just want to thank you for what you do on the show. Really, really appreciate that.
Well, no, I thank you for listening to the show, and I thank you for being so understanding of noticing the dog looking at you in certain ways and making you smile and making you happy. You know, if a lot more people would spend more time focused on their dog rather than sit, stay, down, come, roll over, if they spent more time just bonding with them. I posted a video this week. I don't know if you follow me on my social media, but I posted it on Instagram and Facebook. I have a little office where I'm broadcasting from right now. I have a little office in the upstairs of my house. And every day I try to go up there with Molly or Willie and spend some time having a conversation with them. And I'm not talking about blah, 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 boo, boo, what a cute. I'm talking about, hey, did you hear what he said today? Or did you watch the news? I have literal conversations with them. We try to stay off religion and politics because that gets them a little angry. But it really makes all the difference in the world. So anyone like yourself, Paul, that takes the time to focus and understand the different expressions on their dog's face, I really admire you guys. Great call, by the way, Paul. Don't go anywhere. I am going to put Paul on hold. And Paul, I am going to send you a T-shirt that says, "None of my friends walk upright." And by the way, let me thank my audience right off the bat. We're selling a lot of the T-shirts, and as you know, 98, 99% of the T-shirt money goes directly to my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund. So great. I usually wear them when I do the show, but I felt today, because of being the 20th anniversary of Katrina, that I'd wear my Katrina shirt. So check out those shirts. They're available at thepetshow.com or hugsandkissesanimalfund.com. So I got another call this week. All right. The call came in and said, "Warren, should I be worried? My dog falls asleep and he's kicking his leg like crazy." And for years and years and years, people say, "How do I stop my dog from doing that?" Well, first of all, don't stop your dog from doing it. Here's the bottom line. In reality, dogs who kick their legs during sleep aren't feeling any discomfort or any type of distress. Those leg movements are simply a normal part of the dog's REM sleep. And sometimes, you ever wake up a dog? I had listens. You wake up a dog when he was kicking a different dog. Leave me alone, man. I was having this great dream. I was dreaming of running in the field and hanging out with sheep, and you bothered me. You woke me up. I understand there are some times when there's whimpering involved, strong whimpering. Sometimes you have to wake them up gently because it's possibly a nightmare. But it's important to remember that kicking their feet is perfectly normal behavior. It really, really is. Hey, by the way, again, we're going to talk about, and this is probably so dear to my heart, so many people I work with over the years. You know, I do this show, my national show, and even when I was doing a lot more TV, so many of my listeners and viewers and followers adopt dogs, adopt older dogs. And sometimes those older dogs wind up back at the shelter, not for my listeners, but other people wind up back at the shelters after a week or two. I just read a story today. It broke my heart. I don't know if anyone else saw it. This beautiful German Shepherd brought to a shelter because the owner said it attacked somebody who didn't look aggressive to me. And then they had the people at the shelter. It was divorce shelter. Everyone knows what divorce shelter, right? They take beautiful German Shepherd. I hope some Shepherd rescue goes in and gets this dog. But they would just, how could someone do that? You know, the more I talk to people on the radio, the thousands of people I talk to every week, I wish I could understand them almost as well as I understand the pets that they're with. Unbelievable. So I'm going to get to the Coyote answer. It was a lovely email, by the way, from Marilyn. But again, I don't understand how someone feels that because they live in a specific location, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, West LA, Culver City. I know the areas pretty well. I have 30 years in Santa Monica. I know exactly where you guys live. And that the Coyote should not be in those neighborhoods. They should be in my neighborhood. I have them in my neighborhood. I love them in my neighborhood. I have no problem with them in my neighborhood. I believe, I'd love to get your comments on this too. I believe, and even euthanizing them, when, you know, they tried killing coyotes, and I'm going to talk more about this, they tried euthanizing coyotes, which is one of the things she recommended, but the more they euthanized the coyotes, the larger the other litters were. So there was no benefit. So it's amazing. They're amazing animals. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. What do you think? Do you feel like her that coyotes have to be euthanized or relocated? What do you think? Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Coming up, we got a really lot of great topics to talk about. You know, the cats that are constantly talking and licking. I get so many calls. Warren, my dog is an excessive licker. Lick, day in and day out. He licks me. He licks the floor. He licks himself constantly. Well, there could be a lot of reason for it, or it could be that he just wants a buzz. That's right. He just wants a buzz. They get those same endorphin rushes that you and I get. I don't drink, but many people get from a martini or a glass of wine. So we'll talk about that coming up. Plenty of time for you, because as I said, the air horns are back in stock, so I have a few air horns to give away. Not many, but a few air horns to give away, T-shirts to give away. I will be giving away copies of my books, How to Get Your Dog, How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want. And thank you for all the nice comments about the books as well. Also, not going to be talking about it so much today, but I want you to make sure that in the next week or so, and I'm going to once again go into a little bit more detail. It's also the anniversary of 9/11 coming up on, and I'm going to talk more about that, having spent so much time there. And I'm going to talk about why people tend to forget what it was all about. And I can never forget, because every day I get emails, I get texts, I get phone calls from buddies of mine, guys I grew up with that were in the New York City Fire Department. I'll give you a prime example. I live in Arizona now. Once a week, I go to a bagel shop. Not a New York bagel shop, not even an LA bagel shop, an Arizona bagel shop. It's a bagel, it's round. Anyway, I go there and I spend time sitting with retired New York City firemen. I sit there with retired Vietnam veterans. I sit there with retired New York City police officers, detectives, and marshals. And last couple of weeks we started, and they were all at 9/11. All of us were. And we're talking about our different experiences. So I'll share some of that, not today, but in the next week or two, I'll share that with you as well, because I want to make sure that no one ever forgets what happened on that day. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number, 866-870-5752. Let me toss another question out to you. You see I'm wearing my shirt. If they go, I go. If, God forbid, there was a disaster where you live, would you leave without your pets? Love to hear from you. Give me a call, 866-870-5752, or post it on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you. Quick break, then back to your calls, and back to some of your questions on YouTube. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is... But my two favorite movies in the entire world are, number one, Joe Dirt. Don't laugh at me. It was a great movie, okay? I'm the only person that saw Joe Dirt, too. So that's number one. Number two, what would be my favorite second movie? Car Wash. You just heard this song. I can watch that movie over and over and over again with Richard Pryor, who I'm a big fan. Just makes me laugh all the time. Anyway, David, I'm going to get to you in Irvine. Sage, calling all the way from beautiful, sunny Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. We'll get to your call as well. But I notice on my YouTube channel, there's a question from Phyllis, who says to me, Warren, how can I determine if my 13-year-old Havanese is losing her hearing? Well, 13 years old, I'm sure that she's probably losing some of her hearing, and if she's not responding to you the same way. However, Havanese can have a pretty decent life. So here's what I would do. I would go out and buy yourself a high-intensity flashlight. And before you feed her, and you say, you can use the same words, supper time or what, oh man, a lot of dogs are coming now. You can use whatever words you want, flash the light at the same time. So she associates the bright light with eating. Just before you take her out, flash the light a couple of times so she associates the bright light with coming to you and going outside. So what happens is when we have a dog that, and I've had many, many dogs that were blind and deaf, but when they're losing their hearing, we have to kind of let them use their vision a lot more. So using a high intensity light at the same time you're using the words, because she still, I'm assuming, has a little bit of a hearing, can make that changeover go a whole lot easier. I've used flashlights, those high intensity flashlights, to get the dogs to come when called, to heal. Basically, all the basic training with them. You don't have to go that far, but at least for feeding and walking and coming to you, I would use a high intensity flashlight in conjunction with the words. I think that's going to make a big, big difference for you. Hey, the phone number here, 866-870-KRLA. Let me go to Sage first, then David, I'll shoot up to you. But let's go to Sage in Philly. Hey, Sage. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi. Yes. So, Warren, I love your books, and I've used them successfully before, and especially the cat book. And I had I've just recently rescued a cat, or adopted a cat. They had a Clear the Shelters event in Philly here. At any rate, I was hoping to have her be able to walk her on a leash, as I was with my last beloved cat, Cupcake, who I'd called in to you about once. And because he was very successful with it. In fact, he inspired me, well, your book and him inspired me to think I could do it. And I'm just not feeling as confident with her, because when we go out, basically I have one of those cat carrier backpack things. And so I don't make her walk like from the door the way the other cat, Cupcake, was willing to do. But so with her, I put her in the cat backpack, get her up to the park. But then it's like she wants to just stay in the cat backpack and look out. And so what I do is I try to get her out of the pack and like sit next to me or whatever. But she just wants to get back in. And I'm just confused, because she seems to love to be outdoors. I don't know whether that's because, in part, I believe they told me at the rescue that she was found outside. So maybe she thinks I'm going to dump her. I don't know.
That's a good. That's a real possibility. But there's another possibility as well. Have you tried just sitting in your yard with her on the leash and the harness without taking her out in the carrier, just sitting there?
I don't really have a yard, and that's why it's very lucky to have the little park right up the street. I feel blessed for that. I'm very grateful. If I had a yard, I would definitely do that 100%. And I can get her away to the part where the kids aren't screaming and she's not near the road,
sure,
and such.
So here's what I would do. Here's my advice. This is what I would do at this point. I would take her to the park. I would take her out of the carrier. Mm-hmm. I would hold her. Just hold her. Yeah. Then I would close up the carrier, have it there, just let her kind of sniff around it after a couple of minutes, and then go back in it. What I want her to understand is that when she's out of the carrier, she always has the option to go back in. You can't take something where the cat is so comfortable in the carrier that all of a sudden remove that. That's what a lot of people do, and it's not a great idea. What we want to do is let them know little by little they need to spend less time in the carrier because they're now enjoying the outside a little bit more. Bring some of the toys, whatever, interactive toys, whatever you need to do. Little by little, you'll start noticing that she's more focused on you than she's focused on getting back into the carrier. Not in a week, not in 2 weeks, but little by little by little, and that will bring her around. Never force it. Just go slowly. It's going to make a big difference, but I want you to understand that you hit the nail on the head. I don't know the cat's background. Maybe she was thrown out somewhere. Maybe the only time she ever got a meal after she was rescued was going to a carrier. So those are things I would take into consideration as the behaviors, but resolution-wise, just building up her confidence outside the carrier, knowing it's there, and after a couple of minutes, she can go back into it. Little by little, her confidence will build up. Well, she'll want to stay out of it a little bit more. Just like getting a dog who's petrified about going into a car to accept the car, building it up gradually. It'll work. It's just going to take some time and patience.
Well, sometimes if I sit there with her, she'll finally get to the point where she will get out. But if she doesn't, finally, and it's been like 15, 20 minutes for her, because I take work to do so I can do something else,
Sure.
And because I don't want to force her. And sometimes she will get out, but then she immediately wants to go to like there's a fence line there. I take her to the batting cage, which are completely overgrown with weeds. The kids don't really use them, and she wants to go in there. But then if she goes in there, she wants to immediately get in the weed line. And I'm not averse to that, except for the fact that there's deer there too, and I'm really not happy about bringing home ticks for her or for me or both of us, So I've done that too. I've let her loose.
Listen, you're throwing too much at the cat at one time. Here's my advice. Sit on the bench. Have the carrier. Let her out. Let her go back in. Let her out. Yeah. Let her go back in. Let her out a little bit longer. And little by little, her confidence. Listen, my Molly and my Willie, to this day, feel more confident in the carrier I rescued them in than any other thing they feel comfortable in. However, I didn't let them become so assimilated to that's the only. So they run all over the house. They sleep in my bed. If you watch my videos, they're on my couch. They're on my head. They're in my golf. They're with me all the time. But again, even to this day, occasionally we had some really bad storms the other day here, and as good as they are, that carrier was their comfort zone. So keeping that carrier as a comfort zone for the cat is fine, but she's got to know that it's a place that's not always going to be there, and little by little, the more time she spends knowing that it's there, the less apt she's going to want to run back into it. Little by little, confidence building, she'll be fine, I promise.
Well, this is a backpack. I don't know if that makes a difference. And it's got
makes no difference whatsoever. Whether it's a backpack, whether it's the carrier, makes no difference. But the backpack should be on the ground as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's always on the ground. But
you're right on. You're expecting Sage. Listen, you're expecting.
I take her out, right? I take her out and then let her go back in. And I take her out. Huh?
And she's on a leash and she's on a harness, correct?
Oh, yeah, the harness you recommend.
Okay, then you're fine. Then you're fine. Just keep doing it. Don't get frustrated. Just keep doing it. You'll be fine, I promise.
Okay, but so I don't wait for her to come out because that'll take forever. I take her out, let her get
exactly. Yeah, take her out, make it a big deal. Sing her a song, give her a treat, and then let her go back in so she associates being out with positive things. If she comes out and everything is always positive, just like the last call I answered, if the dog goes outside and she sees that there's great looking stuff in that little kiddie pool and the other stuff's a piece of metal, where's she going to go? It's the same thing. Anyway, give it a shot. Give me a call back in a couple of weeks. We'll go further, Sage. Say hi to all my friends at the Ben Franklin Bridge, okay?
Okay. And act silly. Okay.
And there you go. Have a good one. I appreciate the phone call. Man, did I spend a lot of time in. I used to do a TV show there. I think it was Good Morning Philadelphia. Who remembers? Phone. I got to take a break, David, but don't go anywhere. I want to get to your call. David is calling from Irvine. He says in Irvine, the local animal department uses paintball guns on coyotes. What do you guys think about that? Paintballs on coyotes. God, I don't know. We'll talk about that. I'll give you more information on coyotes than you ever want to know. But also coming up, of the thousands and thousands of homes I've gone to, from Fifth Avenue to Beverly Hills, to the most expensive homes in New York City. I'm talking about triplex and duplex apartments, all of those. One place one place only where I trained a dog made me crazy. It freaked me out. I would come home. My wife, Faye, before she passed away, bless her heart, what happened? What happened to you? You always come home. You're in a good mood. You're telling me about the dogs you've trained and what's going on. But you came home today, and every time you go there, you come home, and it's like you've seen a ghost. I'll tell you the rest of the story when we come back. A quick break, then right back at you. I'm Warren about the scariest training job I ever had. I mean, scared. I mean, real scared. I don't, as you all know, I've told you 1,000 times, I don't drink. But after training this dog, I'd have to have a little blackberry brandy. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let me go to David first in Irvine. Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, Warren, love to talk to you again. I live in Irvine, Orange County, California, and there's a huge amount of construction going on, which is displacing coyotes.
Sure.
And the Orange County animal control people, when they get a coyote call or when they just do their stuff, they shoot them with paintball guns. If a coyote bites someone, usually a kid, they'll identify it with DNA and then kill the coyote.
Sure.
But a regular coyote that's not causing problems, they just try to haze. It's called hazing. They shoot it with a paintball gun, which probably stings and probably looks stupid to the other coyotes.
I've never played paintball. Okay, the only guns I ever had aimed at me were real. But anyway, my question to you is: the paintballs, did they hurt when they hit somebody? Or is it just like a quick sting?
I don't hunt coyotes. I don't play paintball.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sure when they hit people, but people wear protection. I'm okay with that. I'm a little okay with that. Maybe. And the reason I say that is because if when the coyotes are encroaching certain areas, I would rather a paintball than any type of euthanasia, any type of poisoning, or any of that. So I don't know if I'd be anti a paintball. Anything. I use the air horn. I carry pepper spray because I'm in an area where there are a lot of coyotes. Maybe I'll send them back to Beverly Hills. anyway, you learn to live with them. You learn to listen. I learned to live with some of the people in Beverly Hills. I can learn to live with the coyotes in Beverly Hills. All right, and a lot less.
Video.
Go ahead.
I have a video of a coyote taking a dump across the street, and they do it the same as dogs, by the way.
But by the way, a lot of people don't know this. I spent a lot of time on the East Coast. I know a lot of people forget that because I have this Southern California accent now. But anyway, we have. I don't know. I guess you have now. We have. Are you familiar with the term coy dog?
Coyote dog, yes.
Yeah, and when I was living in upstate New York, we had many, and they're usually a little bit larger than coyotes, maybe by 5 or 10 pounds. Some of them maybe not as assertive as coyotes, not as smart sometimes. But a lot of dogs that were strays, because coyotes and dogs genetically can breed, and they're called coy dogs. And it was a big problem in upstate New York, and I got involved with it. And what we would do is we would try to trap them, and the neutering worked more with them because they had dog in them versus just straight coyotes. So I don't know. I'd like to find, if anybody out there can tell me if a paintball hurts, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. 866-870-5752. Great call, by the way, David. I really appreciate it. Find out if it hurts and call me back, will you?
Thanks, Warren.
You have a great day. I really appreciate the call. I love my listeners, and yeah, let me do the coyote thing now. I mean, everyone's talking. Oh, let me do the other thing right now. I don't know what I want to do. Let me do the coyote thing right now. I'll tell you the scary thing when we come back. Okay. So the letter came in, and I told you the letter came in from one of my listeners named Marilyn, who I adore as I adore all my listeners. Your comment a few weeks ago on air about coyotes, I disagree with. They do not belong in the cities such as Beverly Hills, Brentwood, West L.A., Culver City, Midtown L.A., and Inglewood. So I guess it's okay for them to live in other areas so they can live in the Manhattan Beach. It's okay. They should be where they belong, in the desert or the mountains. Coyotes lived in Beverly Hills. They didn't come from Arizona. But let me tell you something. One of the most adaptable animals in the entire world is the coyote. The coyote can change their breeding habits, their diet, and their social dynamics to survive in a wide variety of habitats. So why are there so many coyotes being seen in Beverly Hills, in those areas, in Culver City? Well, here's why. Because people leave their garbage out. There's food all over the streets. There's unsecured properties. They scavenge from unclosed trash cans. People leave their pet food dishes out, and they even prey on small pets left alone in yards. If we removed all their needs, we removed all the food on the streets, the trash cans were closed, we secured the properties, pet food dishes, and they wouldn't be there. They go where they have food. They go where they have shelter. Once you remove their food, once you remove their shelter, where do you want them to go? The mountains surround. I lived in Santa Monica for how many? 30 years almost? The mountains are a perfect location for them. But when there's no food in the mountains or the fires begin, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? And they've tried to control them. There's a big study done in Wyoming about neutering and spaying coyotes. And the University of Wyoming said it made no difference based on the fact that if they neutered and spayed certain coyotes, the other coyotes would adapt and the litters would be larger, not decreasing the amount at all. So here's my suggestion, and again the question. Please take this the right way, Marilyn. And I'd love for you guys to respond to this. I really would. I really would love to get a response. 15-year-old cat. My heart breaks for you, Marilyn. Losing a 15-year-old cat, I know it's devastating. But why was a 15-year-old cat exposed to a coyote situation? First of all, you know I'm a firm believer that cats should be kept indoors. Second of all, a senior cat especially should be kept indoors. Their hearing isn't the same, their vision isn't the same, and their getaway isn't the same. So my heart breaks. It really does break for you and the loss of your 15-year-old cat. But assuming that these coyotes should come to what? Should they kill my dogs? Should they kill someone else's dogs? No, we have to learn to adapt. That's what I've done. I've learned to adapt. I take my dogs out, I have an air horn. I take my dogs out, I have pepper spray. I take my dogs out, I make sure they're always on a leash and harness, a short leash and a shorts, no more than 6 foot, not one of those expandable things. So Marilyn, my heart does break for you, but don't always blame the coyotes. They were there before you. We took away their property. They haven't taken away ours. But you know what? They adapted. They moved out. They moved into the hills. They moved away from you. But then all of a sudden, we moved back in, and there's trash all over the streets. There's food on the streets. There's garbage all over the place. Where do you think the coyotes are going to come? They're going to try to hunt down a rabbit when they come here and get a boxed meal for free? No. We can live with coyotes. We can learn to live with them, and a little more patience, a little bit more, I don't know what the right word is, a little bit more compassion. Am I wrong? Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. Someone give me a call. Let me know. 866-870-KRLA. Quick break, then right back to your calls. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. Of mini horses, miniature horses, onto the Today Show with Al Roker. I believe Matt Lauer was still there at the same time. And they looked at me and they said, they're beautiful horses, but what's their purpose? You can't ride them. I said, how do you think the coal got out of the mines? The big horses couldn't go into the mine. So years ago, not a fan of it now, but years ago, they would use the miniature horses. Not ponies. These are miniature horses. I think they can't be more than 36 inches at the wither. I'm not positive about that. 32 maybe. And they use them to actually take the coal out of the mine. So they did. Everything has a purpose. Everything in life has a purpose. I actually knew a guy in San Francisco that housebroke a miniature horse and slept in his bed with him. Not a joke, a true story. 866-870-KRLA. I'm going to break for the top of the hour. We have a whole other hour to go. So if you have questions or comments, write them there. But let me leave you with this. In the early morning hours of November 13th, 1974, one Amityville house on Long Island, New York, became more than a mere suburban home. Instead, it became a ghastly crime scene as Ronald A. Feo Jr. went through the hallways with a rifle, killed his parents and 4 of his siblings in their sleep. Now, that was in 1974. I went there a couple of years later, 1975, maybe 1976. And 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 to this day, I don't know the address where I live in Arizona. You might think I'm joking. I'd love to bring my wife on. She'll tell you. I have to have it on my phone because I can't remember the address. But I remember the address of the house that I trained the dog at next door. The house where this occurred was 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, Long Island. The dog I trained was at 114 Ocean Avenue, Amityville. And if you know that odds on one side, evens on the other side, I was right next door. Well, I'll tell you the rest of the story when we come back. And it scared the heck out of me. Did I get the dog trained? That was the fastest basic training job I ever did in the history. And I made sure that dog was so good when I finished with him that they would never call me back for a brush-up lesson, or they would never call me back for another problem. I'll tell you the rest of the story when we come. I even remember what kind of dog it was. Remember, one of the first designer breeds was called a cockapoo, a cocker spaniel and a poo. This was a cockapoo, and it was one of the first designer breeds, and it was a cockapoo next door, and just being next to the house was freaky enough. Hearing voices, yes, I did, was freaky enough. But the difficulty I had getting the dog to focus was even freakier. We'll talk about that. I'll answer all of your questions. Still got some great stuff to give away. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number. I should have retired back then. 866-870-5752. Do a quick break for the top of the hour, then back to your phone calls. Your questions, we'll take them on YouTube. I'm Warren Eckstein. You're listening to 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. Got some T-shirts to give away, some air horns to give away, some books to give away, some great products from acornpets.com to give away as well. And some really good stuff coming up. We're going to talk about why your dogs get this great endorphin rush. I see that there's a caller. I will get to you in a second, and kind of, I guess she disagrees with me about coyotes. And I love having discussions with people that disagree. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. We'll find out. Also, let me just go back to the story I started, okay? I'm assuming a lot of you remember the Amityville horror story. You know I grew up on Long Island, and I was the only dog trainer at that time. So I was pretty busy. So this is actually even before I started my school. Now, when I started working with the dog, I knew about the Amityville horror. I was not aware that it was the house next door. I found out a little bit later. And I still went there, and I'm telling you, the hair would stand up on my arms and the back of my legs. But that's not the important point. I take their cockapoo. I don't remember the dog's name. I remember the address, but not the dog's name. I would take their cockapoo out and do its basic training on the street. The dog would not go past that house. The dog would look at that house and just freeze. I mean, totally freeze. Me, as the behaviorist I am, would read the dog's body language, and I knew there was nothing but incredible fear in this dog. Yet, if I turned around and walked the other way, or crossed the street and walked past the house from the other side of the street, the dog was happy-go-lucky. He was fine. He was like Boomer and Benji, but not by that house. In fact, people that bought that house only stayed there for a month or two, and they left, because things were flying. I'm telling you, whether you believe or not, I know the Amityville horror freaked me out. I believe that I don't know what it was. I don't know, I'm kind of not from Missouri. You kind of still got to show me. But I'm telling you, there was something haunted about the Amityville horror house. And let me tell you, I would never, ever, ever, ever go back there now. True story. All right, Ann. So Ann disagrees with me about coyotes. So let's go to my friend Ann. Hi, Ann. Welcome to the Pet Show.
Love your show. And I have coyotes that dig under my fence. I quit keeping chickens. They were always trying to get the chickens out of the cage and looked at me like, what do you think you're doing defending your chickens? I grew up in a Southern California area on the edge of the oil fields, and we never, ever saw a coyote. I grew up on my grandfather's farm in that area. We had all kinds of poultry. We had pet peacocks. We had guineas. We had chickens, loose, cats, dogs. never ever saw nor heard a coyote. And now the coyotes come through in pairs, act like they own the road, threaten the dogs, kill the cats, the chickens. They have killed twice. They have killed 5 baby goats in one night, in spite of the pens we've tried to protect them in. And they have ripped the guts out of 3 pregnant does, 1 a month, one winter, again, trying to protect them with good fencing. And they think they own the territories. To me, it's
well,
not.
Well, let me ask you a question. You told me that when you were growing up, you would go to your grandfather's farm or whatever, and you never saw coyotes, right?
Never
and
ever.
he had all types of he had all types of poultry.
All kinds of loose animals.
But follow me here. Just stay with me here. And none of those animals were ever killed or attacked by coyotes at that point, right?
That's correct.
So why do you think the coyotes are all over Southern California now?
Because they have moved into the areas where all the open space got filled with homes, and all those homes have pets. If there's no food at all out, they still have pet rabbits, they have pet chickens, they have cats, they have dogs.
So coyotes are cunning animals, and I lived in a place in upstate New York where I had 22 rabbits, 30 cats, 32 dogs, chickens, and ducks. And I built coyote-proof areas for them. Never had a coyote get one of my animals. Never had a coyote even come near one of my animals. I did other things as well. Okay, I used certain types of cougar urine around the area so that they wouldn't come on. My feeling is this. If coyotes were not getting the food, if the coyotes were not getting the water, if the coyotes were not getting the shelter, they would not stay there. So if you want to get rid of the coyotes, you're not going to get rid of 100% of them. But if you have animals that you're fearful of, you need to make sure that whatever type of enclosures you build are pretty well coyote-proof. No such thing as 100%. But you got to make them as close. They get coyote rollers. You got to put tops on them. If they're digging under the fence with it, you know what I did when they would try to dig, or if a coyote would try to dig, I didn't have them, but if they tried to dig under, I had chicken wire and turkey wire on the ground underneath, so digging was impossible. It was impossible. Those are the things you have to do. But I cannot accept the fact that we have the right of moving onto someone else's property and telling them that they're not allowed to be there. If we got rid of the resources, they would move away. But we're not going to get rid of the resources. I lived in L.A. I know that there's garbage on the streets. I know that there's homeless situations. Bless them. But I know there's a lot of problems there. If the food wasn't available, if the water wasn't available, if the animals were contained in proper situations, there would be no need to kill the coyotes. There are other ways to handle it. You can scare them off. You can buy a cougar urine and put it around there. But the fact, and I don't know exactly how I feel, I don't believe that the only response to getting rid of a problem is by killing it. There are other ways to get rid of it, and that's by securing your property. Now, just with Marilyn, God bless her, and my heart breaks for a 15-year-old cat, but why would a 15-year-old cat be out by itself?
Again, I think the coyotes have increased by the thousands in Southern
Of course they've increased. Why wouldn't they increase? The more opportunity they have. Why do you think people are moving to Southern California? They move, or some are moving away, but a lot of people move there because of the weather. They move there because it's a beautiful place to live. The weather was great. Coyotes know that. The weather's great in Southern California. A little bit warmer where I live. They only come out at certain times. So the weather's great. The food's available. The water's available. Everything's available to them. What have we done to discourage them? Have we cleaned up the neighborhoods? No. Have we stopped putting our pets, small pets outside? No. We haven't done anything to deter them. And the way to deter them is by making sure that, and again, as I said earlier, that coyotes are pretty amazing animals. There's nothing more adaptable than a coyote. But there are things we can do. So killing's not an option for me. Killing's not an option for me. Spaying and neutering, not a big option because it's not really working. But we maintain the areas and don't give them the food and don't give them the shelter and don't give them the water. They're going to move on. They're going to go back into the mountains where they have their wild rabbits and other rabbits. I know what you're talking about, and it breaks my heart that you lost a chicken and you lost a doe. But you know what? There are thousands of people that live in areas inundated with coyotes or other animals that have taken precautions. And I would rather take the precaution than see an animal shot or killed for no other reason than it exists in an area where I live. Just my feeling about it.
I understand where you're coming from. I just totally disagree with you. I think
listen. That's great. It's great when people disagree with me, and it's fine. And you may, in your own mind, you may be right. And you may be right from your perspective.
Totally out of control.
And why are they out of control?
Because they're living on cats and dogs, not just the food that people leave out, not just the water.
But are not cats and dogs food?
That's what I'm saying. They are cats.
Okay,
and
so
dogs
why,
food,
if you know that your cats and dogs are, if you know that your cats and dogs are food for coyotes, why would they be out unsupervised?
At my grandfather's farm, we never had to worry about coyotes.
I'm telling you, but listen, that was years ago. It's a different ballgame now. When I grew up, I never had to worry about being carjacked. Now I do. Times change, and we have to adapt and adjust. We can go on forever. It's a great call, and I appreciate the fact, and I understand your point of view. I just happen to disagree, and I think we can agree to disagree that I believe there are other ways. And I got to move on, but a great call, by the way. Call me anytime. I love getting into situations like that because there's so many different opinions. My opinion may be differently. Maybe I'm a little eccentric when it comes to my feelings about animals. But I've lived it. I've talked about my rescue in upstate New York. There are coyotes, there are snakes, the coy dogs, other predators, foxes, but I made sure that to the best of my ability that my animals were kept in a secure area. And I never had that problem. Just like she said, years ago, it wasn't a problem in Southern California. The problem comes when we take over something's property, we leave food, we leave water, we leave shelter around. Anyone else want to comment? I'd love to hear your voice on this. I mean, it's a big thing. We get a lot of calls about coyotes, and I just have to disagree and one of the things that happens is they adjust their behavior according to available resources. If there's no resources, they're not going to adjust their behavior. They're going to go back to where the resources are. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Now, there are times, let me go back on this, there are times when you need to be a little bit more fearful. All right? If there's a group of coyotes, they're more apt to go after something larger than if it's one or two. But coyotes, it's kind of interesting. Coyotes can live individually. They can live singly. They can live in groups. They can live in pairs. So they're not always bunched up. It's when they're bunched up that the concern has to be there. But the only reason that they bunch up is because they're producing more pups based on the fact that there's more food, more shelter, and more water available. Otherwise, they would cut back. That's been proven. If there's not enough food, not enough water, and not enough shelter, their litters become smaller. When we start neutering and spaying, their litters become larger. Interesting concept. 866-870-5752, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. The question of the day is, what does your dog... I believe that when people are down and out, they're in a bad mood, they've had a fight with their significant other, or an illness. I've gone through a couple. I found out I got to go through some back surgery, and I had this conversation. Of course, my lovely wife Denise is there, but I had this conversation with Molly and Willie. Hey, Molly, Willie, Pop's got to go in for some back surgery. What do you think? And they kind of looked at me as if they said, "We'll be here when you come back. We'll take care of you. We'll make sure everything's cool." So I think sometimes talking to our dogs and talking to our cats gives them that ability to understand more about what we're saying. And I'm sure there are people out there that would disagree with me as well, but I believe that it's really critical to have conversations with your pets. I have had listeners. I remember years ago, I trained dogs for a parish, St. Anthony's Parish. And it was kind of interesting because I've had my discussions with different religious leaders over years about animals and heaven and whatever. But I remember asking a priest. Now I'm Jewish, Eckstein, okay? I'm not a Hindu. Anyway, I asked the priest, "Is it okay that I pray with my dogs?" Is it okay I pray with my cats? Is it okay I pray with my animals? And the priest looked at me and said, absolutely. He hears it all. He hears it all. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number. Let me take a quick break here. We come back, we'll get to some phone calls. I want to share this information. I want to, the endorphin rush, talkative cats, and I want to get to this. Maybe I'll do this when we come back. So many of my listeners out there, I know Pam's out there, I know that Joy's out there, and Ken, and a lot of people out there, and I want to talk about the concept of how to prepare your home for the arrival of an adult rescue dog and things you need to know when the dog gets it. So we'll talk about that. Plenty of time for your calls, 866-870-KRLA. I'm telling you, if you don't have one of these T-shirts that says "None of my friends walk upright," check them out at the website thepetshow.com. That money goes to Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund. People stop me all the time when I wear them. I hear from people say, "Warren, we got one of the T-shirts and we feel so good that the money helps so many other small mom and pop groups across the country." But even more important, it started conversations with other pet people, and sometimes those conversations are pretty darn amazing. 866-870-KRLA. Quick break, then right back to your calls. I'm Warren Eckstein, KRLA. Actually, a big Bob Dylan fan. I remember seeing Bob Dylan's last concert when he was with the band many years ago at the Nassau Coliseum. In fact, I think I saved the ticket somewhere. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Plenty of time for your calls, lots of stuff to give away. We'll get to you in a few minutes, David. Also, Coyote, but this Coyote thing is really taking off. But let me do this. Let me spend a couple of minutes on something that's really dear to my heart. Rescuing dogs. And so many of my listeners, so many of you, bless you, so many have adopted, rescued older pets. I want you to listen to me carefully. First, I'm going to give you my 4 tips for prior to rescuing, knowing that you're going to, but prior. Number 1, dog-proof your house. Move anything you don't want them to get into or hold. If you have to use a puppy gate, that's okay with me too. Check for hazards around the home, such as chemicals, wires, medicines, even toxic plants. When you first pick up your dog, make sure you supervise them in each room in case of an unexpected hazard. Plan out space, working out where your dog will rest, sleep, and eat. Set up a little area, a quiet space for them to get away from us, because sometimes they need that as well. That's just before the dog comes in. Now I want you to listen to me carefully. I put this together. This is my, I was going to say my Bible, but this is my tip number 1. Let them settle in at their own pace. Don't rush it. Let them settle in at their own pace. Allow them to spend time on their own without disruptions and come to you when they are ready. They may come over and look at you, sit nearby, or drop a toy at your feet. Don't force it. Let them settle in. Let them decompress on their own. Numero uno. Number 2, avoid fussing them. Don't force interaction. If they're not ready for it, they will be. I guarantee you in a couple of months, you'll be telling me, he won't leave me alone. But give them that opportunity. Avoid fussing over them. Give them some time. Avoid total interaction at this point. Tip number 3, allow them to spend time in their area undisturbed. Undisturbed. Give them a break. Let them go where they want. Let them make it a safe area. Start using food enrichment. Food enrichment can be a positive way to encourage. I grew up in a Jewish household. You know, from my perspective, food is love. And let them explore their environment. Tip 5, keep walks nice and short. We don't know the background of those. Keep the walk short. You'll doubt be starting to give them a lot of walks, but make those walks nice and short. That's also really important. Tip number 7, create a routine and stick to it. Start to create a routine and stick to the routine. The closer you stick to the routine, the faster the dogs will adapt. Be understanding and be patient. You're unlikely to know what the dog is used to from previous homes. Being patient, understanding is so important to help them settle in. This also means looking out for signs they're feeling anxious or frightened so you can go apart. And this is something that I talked about years ago. Keep a diary. Keep a diary. That may not mean something day 1 or day 2, but day 30 or 40, it may mean something. Keep a diary. I've had all of the people I've worked with over the years that have had rescue dogs, I've had them keep a diary because it gives them indication of what changes are taking place or perhaps what changes are not taking place. Those are my tips. I will be posting those. And again, if you're not following my YouTube, I see that some people are, but if you're not following me on YouTube, I'm telling you, and I've been telling you for weeks now, there's a special reason. Well, I'm telling everyone to go to my YouTube channel. It's free. youtube.com/Warren Eckstein and subscribe. I'm posting a lot more there. I will be posting a lot more there. And who knows, maybe a podcast with interviews may show up in the not too distant future. I'm not promising, but I don't know. So youtube.com/Warren Eckstein, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Let's take a quick call here. Let's go to my friend David in Irvine. Irvine's hot today. Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Yeah, no, I called you earlier, and I thought I was calling you on your Canadian line, but you're still in America. Here's my only question. There are dog and cat traps where if an animal walks on it, it gives them an injection of something that makes them sterile.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? And what do you
Oh,
think?
absolutely. But, it's a great question. But here's the problem. The studies at the University of Wyoming and other major schools, because they had big problems with wolves and coyotes. They have to figure this all out. They found that with coyotes, if they would sterilize them, neuter and spay them, it really didn't make any major difference in the numbers because their adaptability, and God knows better than me, but the normal litter that might have been 5 will be 8. Or the normal litter that might have been 6 will be 10. So even though we're spaying and neutering,
and other coyotes will move into their territories. I forgot
exactly, and these will be put off to the side. So it's really not changing that much. The best way, if you really want to avoid coyotes in your neighborhood, the best resolution is make sure there's no access to food, there's no access to shelter, and there's no access to water. You can get rid of them all. No, there's always the nomad coyote, but that will keep them in check a little bit. As I said earlier, I use things such as cougar urine, mountain lion urine, whatever. You can buy it on Amazon, and that sometimes is enough to keep them away.
And you've often suggested keeping your cats inside, which is easier said than done, but it's a good plan.
If you can't keep your cat inside, you can take the time to teach them to walk on a leash and a harness. A lot of work. But they have cat enclosures now. You can go on Amazon. You can go to Chewy. You can go to Petco, PetSmart, or wherever you want to go. They sell enclosures for cats now. So the cat can go outside in a safe way. And they have bottoms on them so they can't be dug under. They can't go over the top. Years ago, they had these things called Coyote rollers. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They would go on top of a fence. And when the coyote went to jump on the fence, they would roll, knocking the coyote off. Coyotes figure that out.
I've learned about that recently.
Yeah, so
actually, my cat has taken to sleeping on the downstairs toilet bowl with the lid covered for the last 2 weeks. Does that mean anything? Or
yeah, it does. It does. It does. It means a lot. It's been hot. It's been hot. I'm not in Southern California, but it's been warm in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. The same reason. Why do dogs drink out of toilet bowls? Any idea?
Well, it's thirsty and it's cooling.
It's the coldest water in the house. Porcelain keeps things cold. So if your cat is warm, it would not be unusual for the cat to want to snuggle up on top of the toilet seat because it's probably going to cool her off. That's probably what's going on. If it's a consistent thing, you might want to check with the vet. Maybe the temperature's up. But not unusual for a dog or a cat, for that matter, to seek out coolness. And as I said, the cool water at the bottom of the toilet, disgusting if you so. But cats sleeping on top of the toilet, generally speaking, it's one or two things. Either you have a drip in the toilet and it's putting the cat to sleep, or the cat just wants to stay cool for a while.
Well, thank you.
You didn't think I had the answer, did you, David? Yeah, I've been doing this for... I've been doing this for a few weeks, David. And great call, by the way. And say, I
know.
gotta get this. I was in Southern California. I had an argument. Remember, I talked about it last week. I was in Coronado Island, I guess it is. And the first gas station I stopped at was $6 a gas, and someone called me a liar because I said it was $6. I didn't say the rest of the county or the rest of the state. The gas that I had was $6. And she said, no, I'm exaggerating. I posted a copy of my receipt. Haven't heard back from her. Interesting. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Guys are jumping on me today. Tony, I'm going to take a break in Oak Park. We'll get you when we come back after this. 866-870-5752. Let me take a break. We'll get to your calls. By the way, if you want to answer the question about what your cat or dog does to make you smile, or maybe you don't think your dog has a sense of humor. Maybe it's you're the one without a sense of humor. Maybe your dog or cat's making you laugh and you just don't get their jokes. 866-870-5752. A quick break, then right back at you. Listen, I don't know. I'd be chasing coyotes. Hey, we are back on the Pet Show. Tony will get you in a minute or so. The phone number here, 866-870-KRLA. I got a question this week about licking dogs. So I wrote this, and again, I'm going to put this up on YouTube. So listen to me carefully. Many dogs will seek the endorphin rush they get from licking. Dogs will lick during self-grooming, but excessive licking of themselves can also be a sign of other issues, such as allergies or underlying pain. It can also be a symptom of anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, boredom, over-arousal, and can lead to something called a lick granuloma. You do want to determine the underlying cause. That's the most important thing. Speak with your veterinarian about possible medical reasons, and if the vet rules out all these medical reasons, then you want to find someone like me. May not be available. You want to find a good trainer, a good behaviorist. See, a lot of people don't realize that many dogs will seek the endorphin. You know what endorphins are? Make us feel good. It's the good feeling hormone. Many dogs will seek the endorphin rush they get from licking, and we want to make sure that they're not becoming obsessed or lick themselves to the point of injury. You know, it's kind of like the person who drinks too much or who smokes too much pot or whatever they do. If they're getting high from licking themselves, they're going to keep licking. That's why it's important if you rule out. And one of the things that I've done so many thousands of times over the years is work with dogs that have developed a lick granuloma or developed obsessive constant licking because it makes them feel good. It could be that they're licking pain, which makes them feel better, but the endorphins kick in. So if you notice your dog that's licking constantly, be on guard. Check with your vet. Make sure it's not a medical reason, and they may be licking just to make themselves feel a little bit better. You know what? It's kind of like their cigar, as I said, after dinner. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number, 866. I'm scared. I shouldn't have brought this up, but I got this Amityville horror thing in my head right now. I can't get rid of it. It's in my head. It's staying there. I never could watch the movie, and maybe it's my Romanian grandparents that made me this way. But I got to be honest with you. The time I spent next door to the Amityville horror, I would never wish on anybody. Let's go to my buddy Tony in Oak Park. Hey, Tony. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hey, Tony. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Speaking
What's up?
about bad vibes, I was showing a house one day, and I couldn't go through the door. Something held me back.
Really?
I told my clients to go in. Can you hear me?
I'm listening, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I told my clients to go in, and I said, I just can't go. Something's stopping me. So when I got back to the office and I called the agent, their kid had hung themselves at the front door.
Wow.
So
Yeah, you know, it's you know, I'm not the most spiritual person in the world. There are times I wish I was more spiritual. I guess a lot of time in the service, your religion comes from who's there. If it's a priest, if it's a rabbi, it's of a Buddhist monk, whatever it is. That's what you believe in that day. Yeah, there are certain things. I believe that the world is energy. Is energy, and certain people pick up on that energy, and as you did when you went to walk into that house. Interesting, really interesting. Are you still selling real estate?
Yes, I am.
And going through front doors without being scared, I'm hoping.
Oh no, and then I had taken during COVID or something. I was taking these people through this house, and it smelled bad. And I said to them, if I were you, because I got to leave, and I talked to these people that were working there, and they were filling flu stuff for the shot.
Yeah.
And I just said to my clients, you're not buying this place because all that smell is going to stay in the walls.
Wow, what a good broker. But you remind me, I don't know if you've ever watched the sitcom 2.5 Men. It's one of my favorite
I love
sitcoms.
That.
Well, his mother's in real estate. She sells real estate in Beverly Hills and Malibu, right? And she was selling a home, and it turned out that the guy next door had committed suicide. And so when she was on the phone, someone had said to her, is this a suicide house? And she goes, no, suicide adjacent. You real estate people are incredible. The terminology you use sometimes. It just made me laugh. It made me laugh that someone committed suicide, but it made me laugh that she used that term. So what can I do with you about your pets today?
Okay, well, I have 4 or 5 rescue dogs.
God bless you.
And I talked to you a couple of years ago, or actually 2 years ago, when I first got my Doberman, who is now the size of a small pony, and I got 2 Chihuahuas. But I also, this person wanted me to take his dog, which was a rescue, came out of a high kill shelter. And he was he was half of Lucky's size, but they play a lot. And he came into my house, skin and bones. Anyway, the guy didn't want to pay any more money, so I talked him into leaving the dog with me. So now I have the dog. He doesn't look like he's got skin and bones anymore, and he used to be food aggressive. He's not food aggressive anymore. But the real reason I'm calling you is I had my dogs. You could just they let anybody in the house, and they just joined the pack, you know. But this little dog, this little terrier, walked in, and Luca went after him. Didn't bite him, didn't hurt him. But I called him off. I mean, I just had to call him, and I have a pony door that divides my family room to the living room. So I put him there. He listens really well. But I don't understand. I mean, I've had other dogs walk in this house, and there's never a problem.
Yeah, you have to understand that dogs pick up on certain, we talked about this a little bit last week when we talked about micro expressions. Certain dogs have certain expressions that would trigger the reaction of another dog. We may not be able to pick up on it because usually these micro aggressions last maybe a half a second or a second, but other dogs pick up on that. What I would suggest that you do, it seems that it's this one dog and the new dog, right? I would give them as much opportunity to spend time in neutral territory, whether it be on a walk, just the two of them, whatever that takes. Give it time. Don't overly correct, don't overly yell, but it sounds to me like for some reason, I don't know the background on the dog that you got, but the fact that someone brought their dog to you and didn't want to pay you and decided to leave the dog with you tells me something about the person who had the dog before you.
Well, yeah, I told her as the Phyllis, yes.
Yeah, so give it more time. Maybe he was never exposed to other dogs. Maybe he's seeing other dogs like this for the first time. Go ahead.
But he's in my pack. He's part of the pack.
Now he is.
Well, right away he became part of the pack.
Oh, so everyone's getting along now?
Oh yeah, but this is a new dog. It's my friend that came over, and I told him to bring his little terrier with him.
Oh, so this isn't your dog. This is a new dog.
A new dog that walked in here. And so I said, today, if you bring little Lucky in, the best thing is let's meet outside. Make sure that your car is not in the driveway.
Thank you.
And we'll see how it works. Because, you know, I know that what happened with me the last time, I got to talk fast so I can let other people talk. Lucky I only had for a short time, and my friend was walking him. And this woman standing there with this little white fluffy dog, but her car was in my driveway. And Lucky picked that dog up and threw it in the air.
Listen, I don't want to run out of time, so I want you to listen to me very carefully. What you need to do is meet this other dog away from your hood, away from your house, down the block, a park, a beach, I don't care, somewhere else, and walk past a few times. Let them get to see each other. That I got to move on, but that's where you need to be right now. Having another dog, even though it's not the car isn't there, neutral territory means neutral territory away from anything your dog is familiar with. I got to move on, but give me a call back in a couple of weeks after you've done it a few times, and let's see what happens. Loretta will get to you in just a bit. Let me do this. I got to take a break, but before I take a break, I want to share this with you because I'm kind of asking for your help. You know, you'll hear me talking about my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund constantly. We got some donations this week, and as soon as they come in, they go out. But we are in desperate needs. I'm telling you, every shelter, every little small mom and pop across the country, because the shelters are full, they're taking as many dogs out as they can, and they need our help. When you donate your dollars to help save animals, you want to make sure it's going directly to help the animals in need, not to public relations, not to marketing, but directly to the animals. That's exactly why my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund is so important. At Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund, we search out the most deserving small rescue and humane groups all across the country. Groups you may have never heard of, but these small rescues are the ones that actually... Listen, I'm going to go right to you, Loretta, but I just want to remind everyone that if you're not following YouTube, please go there. There's reasons for it. I'm telling you that you're going to want to follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. I share a lot of info there already. I'm going to be sharing a lot more info there as well. Maybe even in the next few months, maybe even doing a little podcast, having some of my friends on the air with me. But anyway, right now, let's go to my friend Loretta in Torrance. Hey, Loretta, how you doing?
Hello, Warren. Oh, my goodness. How are you?
I am doing fine, Loretta. I don't have a lot of time, but I know what your question is.
And mostly what I want to ask you is, you used to announce the pet pharmacy?
Yeah.
I've been trying to call them because I used to order quite a bit of stuff from them, and I don't think they exist anymore.
It's very possible that they don't exist anymore. But what you can do is, if you have someone that can either go online or go to Google. In Southern California, there are many compounding pharmacies. Many of the compounding pharmacies in Southern California will not only make compounds for humans, but they'll make compounds for your pet as well. Now, depending on what type of medication you're looking for, they might need some recommendation from your veterinarian.
Yeah, my daughter is really good at that. So what would she look for?
Compounding pharmacies. Compounding pharmacies.
Pharmacy.
They're all over Southern California.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll have her look for that. So
and if you have a problem, if your daughter... Oh, thank you, Loretta. Bless you. If your daughter has a problem, you have her call me back, and we'll go a little bit further. You know, I'm almost glad that Loretta brought that up, because sometimes vets prescribe human drugs for dogs and for cats. But don't try it at home. When your dog starts limping or your cat comes down with a sniffle, it's natural to worry. For many families, pets are more than just animals. Of course they are. You're listening to me. They're part of the family. And you want them to have the best medical care. But it can still be surprising when the vet prescribes a medication that looks identical to something in your own bathroom. Many human medicines are safe and effective, but should only be used under veterinary guidance. Others can be really harmful due to differences in how animals process their drugs. So please, if you're going to be using over-the-counter, talk to your vet first. Make sure it's safe for your dog. Make sure it's safe for your cat. I know you want to help, but you don't want to give them ibuprofen or any of that. So if you're going to be using something over the counter, check with your doctor first. A lot of people just assume, well, my dog looks like he's not feeling good, I'll give him an aspirin. No. That can be really, 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 really dangerous. The phone number here, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Great YouTube followers this week. I'm glad more and more people are jumping on the YouTube bandwagon, and it's youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. And I see that some people say, Warren, can you have a better video? Hey, you're talking to me, there's a sign on my desk. It says, if I don't pee, I don't deal with it. So this is about as good as video as I can do right now. But we're going to improve it. I'll be improving my video as we start doing more and more on my YouTube channel. Let me do this. Let me take a quick break. We'll try to get to some more calls if possible. The phone number here, 866-870-CAROL-A. And I'm hearing from my friend Joy that the paintballs hurt. I'm hearing other people that say paintball hurts. If you're going to use them, if you don't shoot them at the animal, but in front or behind them, that will scare them away just as much as shooting it at them. They already have, no matter how domesticated you may think they are, coyotes already have a normal fear of human beings. So just the sound of that, and those air horns, if you want one of those air horns, I'm going to talk about it right now. Alex, I'm taking a break. I'm telling you about the air horns. Listen, guys, listen carefully, okay? You know, my wife, Denise, was in the radio business in Southern California many years. She worked for KLOS, and KBC, and other stations as well. And she tells me stories. Her first husband, who passed away, was a big executive in the record industry. And I hear the stories about Johnny Paycheck and some of the people that I guess she used to spend a lot of time. Sorry, I'm breaking this, Denise, but Denise spent a lot of time. I think it was one of her clients at the Palomino. So she has stories about all of these singers, and someday maybe I'll bring her on one of my podcasts to talk about some of the experiences we've had. We're just about out of time for today, but you all know I go right after I get off here. I take a house-breaking break, and I do my network show. If you want to ask a question there, the national show, it's the same type of show, except that the calls come in from all over the country. That phone number, and starts about 2 or 3 minutes after we get off the air here, but goes to Washington, D.C. It's for Radio America, also Armed Forces Radio. Very proud of that. And that phone number is also toll-free, 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255. Glad we had the conversation today about the coyotes. I hope that helps certain people. Where I live right now, and I'm in Arizona, kind of north of the Phoenix area, and I'm surrounded by areas where coyotes and other animals live. And I adapt. In fact, there's one specific area where I walk. I don't walk the dogs, where I walk, and there's one coyote that decided to make this his home, his bed, and this is a single living. And every morning I walk by him. I look at him. I posted pictures of him on my Facebook, facebook.com/Warren Eckstein. I posted pictures of this coyote. He was really young, and now he's getting a little bit older. And he kind of looks at me every day, and I look back at him. He's kind of balled up, sleeping. He raises his head. Just beautiful animals. And I believe that every living thing has a right to live. And we have to adapt. We all have to adapt to live with each other. And if we're living in areas that we've taken over, where coyotes and other animals used to live, then by far we're going to have to learn to adapt and live with them. Can't just kill everything because you can't figure out a way to adapt and live with them. So I say, coyotes, be aware. Don't let your pets out by themselves. But if you get that food and you get the shelter and you get the water away from them, they're going to move on. Maybe they'll move to Arizona and leave California altogether. Again, the phone number for the network show, 877-725-8255. Give all your pets a big hug and a kiss for you. One between the ears for me. Check out youtube.com/Warren Eckstein, or Instagram at Warren Eckstein, or Facebook at Warren Eckstein. Check out the network show coming up right after this. Until next week, give all your pets a big hug and a kiss for you. And thank you to all my YouTube listeners. And a big hug and a kiss for me right between the ears. I'm Warren Eckstein. And thank you for listening and supporting Hugs and Kisses